Hello, my name is Ann Jollymore. This is my kitchen. I am a baker and I bake for my friends, my family, my community, and I would love to welcome you into my house while we bake some cookies and enjoy. Welcome back everyone to Bake It Till You Make It. I have my husband tonight as my guest, and he is going to make us his tea biscuits. This is, as you know from the last couple episodes, this is my husband Arch, and welcome.
These biscuits that we're going to make tonight, I mean, I grew up eating them as a kid, but they become so popular even with adults that at a hunting camp or fishing camp, what a way to be invited back if you can make something fresh and hot. And so we're going to share that with you tonight. The ingredients: 1 tablespoon of white granulated sugar, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of milk, 2 tablespoons of crisco shortening, and about 1/4 teaspoon of salt.
Now, he uses a sifter to sift the flour. He has a knife and a fork for cutting his lard, and he's got his teaspoons, his very worn
Blender.
Is that what you call blender? And then he has timer, scraper, tea biscuit cutter, measuring cup. This is his bowl to mix everything in. He's also got his rolling pin, and he's got his baking sheet. And so here we go.
Okay, the first thing we're going to do is mix up the dry ingredients, and we use a sifter to do that. I'm going to add 2 cups of flour.
Shall I sift?
No. The reason why is that we need all the dry ingredients in before we sift. Okay?
I didn't know that.
And I tend to like things a little sweeter, so I'm going to go with a heaping tablespoon of sugar.
Oh
okay?
Boy.
I don't think you can put too much in. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And this is how I do the 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You know, kind of a guess. 3 teaspoons of baking powder.
So all of the dry ingredients go together.
Yes. He sifts it, mixes it well together. So that's our dry ingredients all mixed. Now the next step is to incorporate the shortening. Now my recipe called for 2 tablespoons of shortening, but based on my dad's calculation, that's about 1/2 inch. So I'll take 1/2 inch off this block of shortening.
So Arch is from a little town in Nova Scotia called Tatamagouche.
Actually, I'm from Rural Point. Tatamagouche is the suburbs.
Yeah, okay. So how big is your little town?
I believe Tatamagouche is about 1,000. So we're going to take and we're going to blend this shortening. We're using, I picked this up at actually President's Choice. It's a good blender, works for me.
So it's kind of crumbly looking. Is that the texture that the people are going to try and make it tonight and tomorrow? Kind of crumbly?
What you're looking for is to making sure that all of the shortening is incorporated into the flour. And there shouldn't be any lumps. It should be maybe some beads in there. So if you look at that, it's, you know, you can't see the pieces of shortening, but you can tell there's little beads. Now the next step, we're going to add 1 cup of milk.
So 1 cup of milk, but I always notice you add a little extra. So you want it to be what consistency? Like sticky? How does that work? How do you like that? And you're using a fork now, okay. Instead of the hand blender, you're using a fork.
Well, if I use that, it's going to get all gucked up with
Okay.
dough. So I'll just use a fork to blend the milk in and kind of get it into a uniform consistency. And, you know, depending on a lot of things, you may not be exact with the flour measurements, you may not be exact with the milk. So the important thing is to get a consistency that's still relatively wet, but something you can handle. One of the things that I was taught is that don't work the dough too much, makes the biscuits tough. Now, this is a bit too dry, so I'm going to add just a titch more milk.
We have 5 children. They are absolutely the most exciting thing is when Arch makes biscuits for the kids. Everybody seems to like them. And I really, because they're hot when they come out, and they taste so good when they're warm.
Fresh, hot. You know, hot baked goods covers up a lot of sins, so that's pretty good. It's a little drier than I normally do.
Well, I can feel the texture. Yes,
It's still a little sticky,
yeah,
which is good. You don't want it too dry. Again, it's too dry. So I'm not kneading the dough like you would bread. Just trying to incorporate it. Now, if you're back in the hunting camp, you may not have a rolling pin. You can just pat it out to about a 1/2 inch thickness. If you have a rolling pin, like I have in this well-equipped kitchen of my wife's, you can pin it out a bit. Yes, bye, it's looking good.
I've never learned how to make these because I think it makes him feel important that he's got something special he can make for the family and friends.
Well, you support that because you ask for them every night. That looks about right. That's about, what, 1/2 inch thick?
Well, your standards, yeah.
I'll take my biscuit cutter.
I'd say it's almost an inch.
I should get roughly 10 out of the first cut.
And you try and get it, like as when I bake cookies, as close as you can so you don't have to keep reworking the dough.
It depends on whether we had rum before dinner.
So your favorite, I know, is molasses with the biscuits because I watch you eat them and you like molasses.
Well, I think that comes from childhood when it was that something sweet for a meal.
You will notice a difference. The first 8 that he cut, the more he does the dough, they look different, the biscuits, when they cook because he keeps reworking, and he always does kind of a one funny looking one at the end.
Oh, I always usually end the last of the dough.
Which our kids love.
Now, hopefully everybody has their oven on. The oven temperature of 400 degrees. Your oven should be warmed up. And it doesn't matter, you know, your biscuits can sit out if your oven's not warm. There's no problem for them sitting out for 20 minutes, half an hour, and they'll just continue to rise a bit. So it's not an emergency to get them in the oven, you know, as soon as you do it. So we're going to take and...
So how many did you get? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So you got 16. Is that what you thought you'd get?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't count that one.
Okay, so 16, 400 for how, what is it again? You say 10 minutes, but you always end up putting it on for a bit longer.
No, I put it on for 12 minutes, but it's important because a lot of ovens are different. And you got to get to know your oven. So after 10, 11 minutes, you know, check it for the nice golden color in the top. This particular oven set at 400, it takes roughly 13 minutes. So we're going to do that now. "13 minutes.
Perfect.
And now all we have to do is wait.
Oh,
look at that.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. Okay, we'll put them on. So here we have Arch's homemade jam, and this is his molasses that he favors to have in his biscuits. These are very hot, and if you can see them, you can see the difference actually of the rolled, over-rolled.
My daughter asked how to get them to raise higher, and I said cut 10 instead of 16, and they'll raise higher.
Now I'm going to cut one open for you because these are hot, hot, hot.
I'm going to
And you'll see, because they are hot. Yowzer. See the steam? Isn't that absolutely beautiful? Look at that. And look at how beautiful and fluffy. Well, look at the steam coming off. Oh my gosh. And it's the only way to eat them when they're hot like this.
While you're talking, I'm going to be eating. Look at that. Ooh.
So I'll be
I'm
taking...
have some butter.
Oh, yeah, Arch has butter. I just have the actual jam.
Little dab of butter.
And his homemade jam is so good. Another thing we got from his dad used to make homemade jam all the time. Okay, you dive in. We'll cheers it off.
Little dab of molasses.
Molasses. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for teaching us that.
Mmm.
Oh,
Delicious.
done to perfection, and they're such a treat.
They're only good hot, so we have to eat all of them.
Okay. I can do that for you. And again, they don't last for the next
I'm gonna try
day
this one with the jam.
because there's no preservatives in them, so they go like hockey pucks. That's why we try to eat them all up.
You can put them in a bottle or cover them up. They're so good the next day. And you can actually reheat them in the oven. So don't give up on them.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Have a wonderful night. Thank you very much. And I appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you for our 4th, which will be probably in about a month or so. Thank you. Goodbye.
Love you.
Goodbye. Welcome back, everyone, to Make It Till You Break It.
Hey, that's good.
Welcome